I'm Tony Diodato, the founder and Chief Technical Officer of Cypress Integration Solutions. One of the biggest benefits of OSDP as it pertains to connecting access control readers to their panels is the addition of supervision and security. These two things have been somewhat lacking over the decades, and Cypress has been providing those two solutions in addition to the normal access control installation. So of course that involves a little extra money. Of course we like it because it keeps us in business, but it should be inherent in the installation. It shouldn't be an afterthought and certainly not an additional cost. Adopting OSDP is a great benefit on the part of the end user. Once they specify it, they can be pretty sure that the installer and the manufacturer's equipment will be compatible. There'll be a lot less lost time in wrangling the incompatibilities, and overall just a better return on the investment for installations of access control equipment. AI being used in the access control and security industry is a big benefit these days, and it can predict some criminal behavior. It can identify certain patterns in changes in building infrastructure, for example. But what OSDP can bring to it is a means of collecting that data. Especially with weakened installations, the data was one way. It just went from the reader to the panel. Either you got it or not. There was no handshake. There was no way to glean any information, the number of misreads, for example, or if a reader was offline. With OSDP, we can get the supervision, so we can know if a reader fell offline. We can actually know if someone is trying to tamper with the security or eavesdrop on that circuit. And it does create for the artificial intelligence engine another vector, another means of collecting data. One of my biggest delights actually is in the fact that OSDP is being accepted fairly rapidly in the industry. We have just over the past, I'd say 18 months, rolled out the OSDP Verified program, which allows vendors, manufacturers of the access control panel, as well as readers and other peripherals, to submit their products for third-party validation. So then you can know that if the product has been tested by that independent organization, that it will be more or less compatible across the board. I think this has really accelerated the acceptance and the adoption rate of OSDP in the industry as a whole. One of the key factors when creating the OSDP specification was to keep it as simple as possible, yet leave it open enough for enhanced functionality. So installers were very used to just having two wires to get the signaling from the peripheral to the access control panel. So we kept it that way. We just introduced a more intelligent means of doing that. So it would be a bidirectional protocol. So one of the hurdles is making sure that installers especially understand that yes, it's the same two wires, but there's a lot more going on over those two wires. And they have to be cognizant of a few key elements when installing it. Number one, the termination resistors may need to be added. This is something that may be a little bit new. But other than that, it's still, the wiring is pretty much the same as it always was. Twisted pair is recommended, and there are a lot of variances on the speed that you can communicate versus the length of the wire and the type of wire that will accommodate the signal. Cypress provides a wide variety of OSDP migration devices. These devices were intentionally designed to retrofit to existing access control systems. So as new OSDP peripherals become available, yet the access control panels may not be up to date to accommodate them, we put in some middleware that we provide that will allow those new devices to work with legacy systems. In gaining a lot of the advantages that OSDP brings, there's a little bit of education that needs to be done in the industry for the installer. It's not a lot, it's just a pre-configuration step, as well as just being aware that there's a bidirectional communication going on as opposed to a unidirectional communication that was there previously. It's still two wires, but what's going on those two wires is a lot different than it was before. So therefore, the quality of the wire is now much more important than it ever was, as well as maintaining the integrity of that wire. Some of the more recent developments in OSDP has been the fact that, number one, it's an international standard, IEC standard. This has really enhanced the acceptance worldwide. The OSDP verified program has now been adopted by SIA, and there are a few third parties that have already stepped up to create testing labs. Some of the more unique future products that we have in mind include installation tools for installers to make their lives a little bit easier, since there is a little bit of a configuration step when implementing OSDP. We've also taken on some challenges and come up with some unique solutions around using fiber optic, wireless, and Ethernet for transporting the OSDP protocol. And in addition to product development, we are also being asked to specify OSDP into non-traditional security applications. Of course, security pretty much permeates all industries, but actually using OSDP in the industry itself. So in other words, for robotics, it's not just a robot talking to a door or talking to an access control panel, which we've already done, but the onboard robot systems are also speaking OSDP amongst themselves.